You need a guy, if you're going to go get anybody and consider them playing at first base, that is capable of doing what these guys currently in the lineup, on a platoon basis aren't doing. More pop, maybe some more consistent average. Those are the kind of things you're chasing. If you have any question marks at this point, I'm not as desperate as I was 2-3 weeks ago.
For me, it's first base. I'm with you on the pitching thing. Like anything that you acquire, like I'm not opposed to it. I don't want to do it at the expense of the future. I think that your rotation's been very good. Like you had the other day, Robert Flores, go Cougs. He was talking about how the Astros' issues have been pitching, and more pitching, and he listed 10 things, and they were all pitching. And then you're like, okay, what does this guy watch Astros baseball? Chandler Rome sent out a tweet today. Team ERA leaders since May 1st. Astros are 5th. Like the Astros pitching has been fine for the last 2 months. And there are reinforcements on the way, whether it's the names like Justin Verlander, whether it's a quality pitcher like Luis Garcia, whether it's the mystery of Lance McCullers, or if it's just a solid middle relief guy like Ben Murphy, who is a solid middle relief guy. So I don't think it's a necessity to trade for an arm. I'm not ignoring the luxury, and if you can find that guy out there without surrendering too much of the future, cool. Like that's fine by me. I think the biggest hole on this team is first base. If you could find and I'm not even a Vlad type, but if you could find a guy who can hit in the top 6 spots of this lineup, all of a sudden your lineup is really stretched out. Now you have a top 4 of, when you're healthy, Altuve, Tucker, Jordan, Bregman, Yiner, traded for first baseman. And then the guys that are solid, Myers, Pena, whatever you want to do in left field. So I think that first base is the position that you can acquire that would help this team the absolute most. Maybe even left field a little bit if you're not completely sold on Loperfido or Chaz. Although I think the platoon there is fine. Throw Dubon in the mix out there a little bit too. I think you can get by with what you have in left field. First base, that to me is the area where you can really take another step as a team.
Well, and also, and it's twofold, but it really comes down to who's going to be available, because you always get that big first name in like a Vladdy Jr. that's going to be out there. But if you're not willing to go that far price-wise, or that he just doesn't fit exactly what you're looking for, who are the other guys on a team that maybe fades out of the playoffs, or it becomes sellers instead of buyers? You don't know, because so many teams with the wild card are still in it to a certain degree. You know that whether it be Loperfido, who is probably not going to see first base except for an emergency like the other day, but in the case of Dubon, there's still going to be plenty of at-bats for him to get. He's going to still find a way into the lineup pretty consistently, or he should, whether you're giving guys days off or, he's going to spend some time in center and or in left. But when you look at it, if you get a guy that brings you a ton more pop, that is capable, that is available between now and the deadline, and maybe it's a rental, or maybe it's a guy that either has a really contract that's friendly to you, that you like, so you're willing to give up more, or you can get a rental at a very cheap price, but is a guy that's capable. That's when you got to be hard and fast and get snap to it, because that could help you.
8807 as always. Let's grab some bullpen depth and ride. No big splashes. If you can find a cheap first base upgrade, that's fine, but no Vlad type move. That's really where I'm at too. Minus the I don't think it's as important to have the bullpen depth because you are going to bring some arms. And we talked about the roster crunch yesterday. If everybody's just healthy before you even trade for an arm, I want a first base upgrade. I don't want it to be Vlad. I think Vlad's going to be too expensive. There's also been the reports of Toronto not interested in trading Vlad, which that might not be true, but it does tell me that they're going to have to be knocked off their feet, which means a bigger trade, more difficult to mortgage the future, et cetera, et cetera.
And I'm leery if James Click is involved in the trade. He knows your system better than anybody. He probably has an axe to grind at some point, but he's going to measure the level of desperation. He's going to, he's probably going to want to stick it to you if he can. But I don't know that I'm willing to give up a big package for a guy like Vlad Guerrero, especially if there are other options. Because when you think about it, some of the guys of a couple of years ago, when the first base position was open, I mean, Josh Bell, thank God now, there was a guy that they were chasing that's probably going to be on the market again. He's been miserably bad since, he got the money and since he was
he's
traded.
Been better than Abreu, though.
But so is basically a can of soup.
Sure, but that would have been a better alternative. And Mancini wasn't very good either. So, Josh Bell and Mancini were very similar. Josh Bell was a 2-year deal and cheaper. Josh Bell could have been the better option both times, and I agree with you that it was not a good option.
And even with Rizzo, which was a guy that supposedly, whether you bring Ken Rosenthal's rumors into it or not, or if that was just positioning for trying to get a deal with the Yankees are looking for a first baseman. They're not happy with Rizzo at all, and they re-signed him.
We got hurt too.
Well, they were looking before he got hurt.
Yeah. I mean, they might be on the Vlad thing. So I'm good upgrading at first. Probably not on Vlad. It doesn't scare me, the click thing. Like, I understand. Like, it's a valid reason. I just think it's defeatist attitude. Like, well, I'm so scared of the guy over there. No, go win a trade. Like, be that son of a gun. Be the dude that wins every trade. 713-780-ESPN. Let's go out to the HRP listener line. Rob, you're in the hive with the bees. What's up, Rob?
Hey guys, appreciate you taking my call. Just had a quick comment on the trade market, both pitching and first base. I don't really see the need to trade anybody for the bullpen. Obviously, we hope Luis Garcia comes back like the Luis Garcia of old. Then you'll have, once Verlander comes back, you'll have 6 starters, and once you get into the playoffs, you'll see at least one, if not 2, of those guys bump into the long relief, like what we've seen in the past, like Hunter Brown did a couple of years ago. So I think we're going to be set there. And unless a trade for a first baseman makes us exponentially better, I don't see the need of doing that either. I think you give Lo Perfito multiple games, see if he can play the position, see if he can swing it at a level that we need. Still got Mauricio Dubon, who I believe should never be out of the lineup. And once you get Kyle Tucker back, the outfield's going to get even more crowded. So unless we can hit the first baseman, it just really makes us much, much better. I really don't see the need just for a little small step up.
Appreciate the call, Rob. Look, I think the one thing that I would push back on is because Joey Loperfido, no matter how much power he had in the minors, he just hasn't had that same kind of pop on the big league level, though he's been a more consistent hitter for average. When you look at the two guys that are doing what they're doing at first base currently, regardless if you want Dubon to be more flexible or not, the one thing is, can you get more pop from a guy at a corner infield position, because that's a premium power position for you in any lineup.
Dubon's hitting below what like an average first baseman would be. Now, to Rob's point, is there going to be a huge step up on the market at first base? That remains to be seen. Just to kind of truth bomb Mauricio Dubon a little bit, I like Mauricio Dubon on this roster a lot. I do think he's your best option at first base that you currently have. I think there's some similarities to Mauricio Dubon in last 3-year Yuli Gurriel. Like the Yuli Gurriel that lost power, that was still, a good defensive first baseman, was a very good contact guy, but wasn't hitting for the power that he used to. I think there's some similarities between Dubon and the last 3-year Yuli Gurriel. Mauricio Dubon the last 28 days has a 289 on base percentage and a 689 OPS. That's not very good for first base. That's not good for an offensive player, period. But especially at first base. Now, even his season totals are like, okay, I don't know if I love that at first base. A 714 OPS on the year at first base. That's below average relative to the first base position. Is he your best option? Yes, he's your best option. Now, to Rob's point, why don't you give Joey Loperfido 2 weeks and then see how desperate you are to trade for a first baseman? I think that would be something that the Astros should consider. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, we've been behind the 8 ball. We're not trying to experiment. We're in win-now mode. Non-general manager Jeff Bagwell said. So those are factored into that. But you're not going to know if Joey Loperfido is the answer by not playing him for a significant, like today he's in the lineup. He didn't play the previous 3 games. Right. So are they telling you that he's not the first baseman of I think they have told you he's not the first baseman of the future, but could he be the first baseman for the rest of the year? Because I don't think Dubon's that guy. I don't think Singleton's that guy. Quite frankly, I don't think Loperfido's that guy, but he might be.
He might be, but at the same time, he needs the reps to see if he could be for the rest of the season. And just using him because you had no other option really to go to the other day in Toronto, in New York, is not giving him enough of an opportunity to see what we've seen and seen tweets deleted because of the fact that he's shown on the AAA level he can play first base. They've been resistant to it. They don't really like it. And even though Abreu's gone, I don't know why they're still not trying to at least see if it's going to work or not, because you have nothing to lose really, and you could gain another capable body and another spot to fill in the lineup with a guy that's been hitting the baseball. So you want to try it out. For some reason or another, maybe he won't get that opportunity this year. I don't know, but I would be monitoring it closely between now and the deadline, because with each passing day, teams are going to start realizing it's just not going to be our year.
Yeah.
And then maybe, a better option then pops up.
Yeah, you need to be kicking the tires. And if you can't do it because the price is too much, okay, you can't do it because the price is too much. But absolutely, you got to be looking.